Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. On our last video, we talked about how important it is to get the crossface and underhook when establishing control and passing. We talked about how some takedowns are more ideal than others because they land you right in an ideal passing scenario. Now in this video, I want to dive a little deeper into underhooks and talk about the difference between inside position versus inside control, talk about some entries into getting the underhook, and then look at how Andrew Wiltse is using these principles and developing a system of underhooks. So let's get started. So when I think of inside position versus inside control, something that I personally have been really struggling with recently is this split squat here. And you can see Gordon's elbow is basically owning the inside of his partner's hip here. When I tend to do this move, I tend to put my hand on the hip here. And what that leads to is my partner either bringing their knee in here or bringing their foot back inside in some sort of lasso situation. So basically, it lets them screw it up, right? Like I have the inside position here with my hand, but because my elbow doesn't own the inside space, just my hand does, I don't really have any ability to exhibit control with that inside position. So just because I have the inside position, it just kind of stalls my opponent for a little bit until they're able to either bring their knee back in, bring their foot back in, screw everything up, and take back the inside position. So what I should be doing from that scenario is trying to get my elbow to the hip to exhibit more control with that inside space. And then that leads into better passing situations, right? So now I've heard Gordon and Donaher talk about this, but the important aspects of inside position are the elbow and the head. And in this scenario where we're trying to walk our opponent's arm up from full mount, the farther we get that arm up, the more control we establish, right? And when we're doing this, it seems like that finger walk is the thing that's walking the arm up. But in reality, they talk about how it's the elbow straightening and the head moving over our partner's head that brings the elbow up, and the fingers just hold it in place. So the important aspects to focus on when inside control is where our head is and where our elbow is. So there's a few places we can put our head once we have proper elbow position. You can see Gordon here has a deep underhook and his head is on this far shoulder here. The goal of our inside control is to pin this shoulder down to the ground. And right now Gordon's doing that by this underhook and this head position, but he can also move his head to the other side, assuming you have a solid underhook, and that kind of frees up your arm that's usually cross facing to assist in the pass. Now this is what I think is the insight that I'm trying to portray in this video, is that when we're losing the battle for inside position, like you could see here, Gordon's opponent has the underhook, right? His opponent is winning the battle for inside position, but Gordon is denying him the ability to use that inside position to establish any kind of control over him. So what Gordon's focus is here is he's trying to pin this shoulder, right? What his partner wants to do is he wants to turn onto his side so he can start using this underhook here. But Gordon's using this reverse crossface and proper head position to pin this shoulder down to the ground. So basically his partner has inside position, but Gordon's denying the ability to use inside control. And that's what I'm trying to portray in this video. So now that we talked about the importance of inside position versus inside control, let's talk about some different ways we can enter into an underhook. So DPS breakdowns has been really helpful for me. He has a video breaking down a few different ways to enter into the underhook, and one way was to just enter with the elbow. And you can see here, it's just a standard lockup, like wrestle or tie up. But the guy in red here, instead of just trying to thread his hand for the underhook, he's going to shoot with his elbow. He's going to lead with his elbow. So right when he gets that underhook, it's already establishing control with that inside position. He's not just shooting for position, he's shooting for inside control. Boom. Leads right into the takedown. Now, another way to do it is off of your own single leg attempt. So you can see you could shoot for a single leg here. Now, if the single leg is unsuccessful, you come up into a nice, strong underhook. Again, this is not a shallow underhook. This is deep, establishing inside control here. Again, right into the takedown. Now, another way to do it is off of opponent's shot. So if your opponent shoots, you can thread that underhook through. Now, this is not as deep of an underhook, and I should have left it in to play a full clip, but he doesn't end up finishing the takedown here, and I think it's because that's just more of a shallow underhook. So now let's talk about how Andrew uses these principles to create kind of a system around the underhook and inside control. So you can see here, his opponent has the inside position with their hand, right? Andrew's head does not own the inside space here. And the opponent is trying to get an underhook on Andrew. But what Andrew does is he threads his hand, you could see, through here. So even if his opponent were to get the underhook, it would completely nullify their ability to use that underhook. So again, his opponent has the inside position, but Andrew's denying him the ability to establish control with that inside position. And once you deny the ability for them to get control with that inside position, he starts to work his way back to establish that inside position. So you can see now Andrew's head owns the inside space. He has the underhook. He has the ability to completely pin down the shoulder here. So now from here, he's going to do his famous knee slice. Now initially, this is a super shallow underhook, right? And his opponent is turned onto his side really strong. So Andrew has inside position, but he doesn't have much control with this underhook. But as soon as he gets the opportunity, he shoots it so deep. His elbow almost touches the ground here, and his head already owns the inside space. So Andrew completely dominates this shoulder over here of his partner. And that makes the pass pretty much effortless. So now let's talk about the entries. So Andrew's here, and his opponent, we talked about one of the ways to enter into an underhook is off an opponent's shot, and that can come in many forms, right? Especially in jiu-jitsu. So his opponent's coming in from the ground, and his opponent's going to shoot in for like butterfly sweep. But his opponent, again, establishes inside position, right? His opponent has this underhook. But in order to exhibit control with that underhook, his opponent would like to turn to his left, right? This way, towards the fence. But Andrew forces him to fall basically on that underhook, which completely eliminates any ability to establish control with that inside position. So just because you lose the battle for inside position, you have to focus on denying them the ability to establish control with that inside position. So Andrew brings him to the wrong side, right? And he has that underhook on this side. And that leads to him eventually passing. So now the other way we talked about we could enter into an underhook is off of your own shot. We could see here Andrew playing from half guard. He's going to shoot on this far leg of his opponent here. Try to sweep, right? And his opponent stops the sweep, but that leads right into a deep underhook. And you could see Andrew's already turning onto his side. He's very deep. His partner is not able to use his hand across face. It's going to the ground, right? So you could see he's already establishing control with that underhook, with that inside position. As opposed to just being happy with the position, he's shooting for control. And I mean, this is the most beautiful display of that I could find. So you fake one direction, they stop it, but you come back with a strong underhook in the other direction. If you compare that to what we talked about earlier on, where Gordon is able to keep his opponent flat on the ground and this shoulder completely pinned through this reverse crossface and the proper head position. Andrew didn't give his opponent the ability to do that, and that's why his sweep is so successful. It comes up here at the end to finish the sweep. Now let's just watch it one more time because I was talking throughout the whole last time. Cool. Hope you guys liked the video. Appreciate the support, and we'll see you next time.